Good afternoon, students. In this assignment, you are going to create an entity relationship diagram. And I want you to use Visual Paradigm online. You can find it at online.visual-paradigm.com. When you arrive on the site, I want you to go over to Sign Up. You're going to ensure that you're using the free edition, and then click Sign Up with Google. Now, I've already created an account, but this is the process you will use. Once you click on your preferred email account, I'm using my Mariana's edu account, you'll click Sign Up. After you're done signing up, go back to the login screen, click Login, choose your Google account, and sign in. Next, I want you to click on Create New, located here in the top right. We're going to type in the search bar, Entity Relationship Diagram. And we want to make sure we use this version and not the chin. We're going to use a crow's feet version. So we're going to use Entity Relationship Diagram. This will open up a new tab and load the dashboard or the palette in front of you when it's complete. For this assignment, we're going to create a number of tables. So we'll click on the Entity Relationship icon. We'll call the first one Student. We'll create another one. We'll call this one Contact. And for the last two, you may be confused by this, but we're going to call this one Courses Taken. That a little bit bigger. And the last one will be Course. Next, I want you to open up the student entity. We'll right-click and select Add Column. And the first one will be a student underscore ID. We'll right-click on it again, and we'll make this the primary key. Next, we'll add a new column. We'll call this first underscore name. Add another column. Last underscore name. We'll add another column. Middle initial. We'll add another column. We'll call this suffix. And then finally, we'll move on to the contacts. Add a column. We'll call this contact ID. Student ID. Phone number. Phone type. In the courses, we'll add course taken underscore ID. Course ID. Student ID. And date signed up. Lastly, in the course entity, we'll add course ID, course name, course identifier, credit hour, move this down a little bit. We'll add modality, start date, and end date. So, as you can see so far, we have 3 tables created, and some of you may have an idea of how these tables should relate to each other. Let's take a look at the type of crow's feet we should use. Notice on the right, we have a one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationship. Let's go ahead and set the contact ID to primary key, course taken ID to a primary key, and the course ID to a primary key. Next, let's go ahead and address some of the different IDs on the contact, the courses taken, and the course table. By the way, it looks like we misspelled courses taken. So we'll correct that real quick. On the contact table, we have a contact ID, which right now is set as the primary key. You can see we can also toggle this to a foreign key. Let's set the student ID, though, as the foreign key. On the courses taken, we have a course ID and a student ID. And on the course, we only have a primary key. With our contact table set up, we have a contact ID, a primary key, and a student ID as a foreign key. Let's drag the arrow down to our student ID and choose the appropriate relationship. Now you have to ask the question, can a student have more than one contact number? And the answer to that is yes. Because of this, we want to ensure that we choose a one-to-many relationship, where a student has more than one phone number. Okay, let's move on to our next relationship. What we have left is a classic many-to-many modeled with a bridge. Here's the clean way to set this up. Let's consider the relationships and what they mean. One student can take many courses, and one course can have many students. Therefore, we add the courses taken table as a bridge, an associative entity. So let's first of all set our student ID as a foreign key and our course ID as a foreign key. Looking at our entity, a student would have many courses, which is why we use the courses taken table. And we'll model this as one student to many courses taken. Let's move this up a little bit. Similarly, a course could have many courses taken. We'll model this by dragging the entity up to the course ID. Let's organize these a little bit. Let's talk about our attributes now. The student ID would be the primary key. The first name would be a varchar. Last name would be varchar. Middle initial could be a character, but we'll also make it a varchar. And suffix might possibly be a separate table of possible suffixes. In this example, we're going to keep it simple and just make it a varchar. In the courses taken table, we have the primary ID, we have a course ID, a student ID, and the date that the course was signed up for. And then finally, we have our course, which has the ID, course ID, which would be primary key, the course name, which would be a varchar, the course identifier, which would be a varchar, the credit hour, which could be varchar or an integer, the modality, which might most likely be a separate entity table linked to. In this example, we'll continue to keep it as a varchar. And then we have the start date and the end date, which would both be a date field. At this point, for the assignment, what I need you to do is save your entity by doing Control S or Command S and typing the name of your course, CS140 WK6 ERD Assignment. You can save it to your Google Drive if you would like, which I'm going to do here. I'm going to save it to my root folder. And of course, it's going to ask me to authorize. You may get this window here asking you to continue, and then it's saved. Go ahead and change the file name to CS140 WK6 ERD Assignment. And then finally, I want you to export your assignment as an SVG. I do not want it as a JPG, a PNG, or a PDF, but an SVG. We'll save it to your device, and then it'll be loaded here in your hard drive. Okay, that's it for now. The deliverable I want you to give is the SVG. Please save that in the assignment details.